maybe this one is part of them. Maybe not. Those are the things we're going to let out on this show today. I have my guests rightly seated here, and you know this woman, a big wig for that matter. Before you can get this woman to sit down to come and feature on a program, you have to fast and pray. Well, after the break, I am going to unveil my guests. Don't go away. You're welcome back to the show. As I said earlier, my guest is already seated here. And who am I talking about? She is a consultant, a public health physician, the president-elect, Medical Women Association of Nigeria, Ogun State Chapter. Oh, I know those that knows her very well would have known who I am talking about. She is Dr. Mrs. Imonope Gloria Bosede. Welcome to the show, ma.
Thank you very much.
You know why I'm laughing? Why? Because I'm just thinking of how we get you to sit on this chair. Well, it's a good one. And, you know, at first I was saying that this search you're using will not be allowed. But I now feel okay when you see a woman like you representing some women in the society. At least people should get to know that we are women, we are not weaker vessels. So that's why. So now I've introduced you already, and this search is also doing the same. Maybe you can just pull it off and let people see that the president-elect is here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Talking about cervical cancer, let's talk about how it develops. Where in the body does it develop, and why are people still forming ignorance about this?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Doing Sola, for having me on your program. It's a real pleasure, my part. More so, you mentioned something that you're just wondering how you got me to sit on this. Yeah, it's because, well, you know what has happened before now. But this one is because of the matter on ground and the reason why we have to beam our searchlight on it. Particularly in M1, Medical Women Association, our motto is healing with the love of a mother. Our main focus are women and children. Yes, the men are there with our daddies, our brothers, our grandpa, our uncles and everything, always supporting us. But our main focus is anything that has to do with the welfare of children and women. So anywhere women are being called, children are being called, we are there. And that is why when you say cervical cancer, in spite of every other thing, I decided to come and appear.
Thank you.
Because like you talked about, talking about cervical cancer, I must say that we all know that cancers are very, very terrible. But cervical cancer in particular is one of the, if not the highest, death-causing cancers amongst women in Nigeria. And it ought not to be so, because cervical cancer is highly preventable. You know, there are some diseases that they are not so preventable. The preventive measures are not things that everybody could do, and then there are nothing. I mean, there are things that you may not be able to assess. You know, for example, now there are some illnesses that you just can't say, let me do this, and then I will prevent myself from having it. But not cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is highly preventable, but today in Nigeria, it has the highest mortality of female cancers, and it shouldn't be so. So what is cervical cancer? Cervical cancer is the cancer of the cervix. You know, when we talk about cancer, we're talking about cells that are growing in abnormal proportion. Apart from the normal, as we are now, all our cells are dividing, actively dividing. That is why you see the person is being renewed. It's not the way we are created. People, the cells divide, and then the people grow older, organs, you know, get more matured and all of that. But in cancer, the cells start growing in excess. They start misbehaving, let's say that. And that in itself is a problem. So for cervical cancer in particular, it is the cancer of the cervix. Now the cervix is the neck of the womb, where the womb enters into the vagina. You know, if you are from outside going up, you pass through the vulva, then the vagina, then you enter the womb proper. ilé ọmọ, but that particular point where the vagina joins to the uterus, we call it the cervix. That's the neck. It's a very, very sensitive aspect of the woman. That is through the birth canal. You understand what I'm trying to say? No, for the birth, that is the tract the baby passes through. So when you have the cancer of that cervix, the positioning of it is that it can spread up, it can spread down, it can spread sideways. And that only happens in the late stage. So why it is so painful that cervical cancer remains a major cause of mortality amongst Nigerian women is because early presentation can make the whole difference. Early presentation can determine like maybe 90% of cases getting better and even having cervical cancer as a thing of the past. But late presentation, there's almost nothing you can do. Like a colleague, jokingly said, we were talking to some women at PAC over the weekend about this, and she was saying, well, when it gets to that late stage, and the woman is presenting to the hospital, we will tell the woman, well, if anything you want to do to make you happy before you die, because at that stage, that late stage, stage 4, it's already a death sentence. If you want to go on Hajj, you want to go on pilgrimage, you want to go to Igbo land, you want to do anything, just go and enjoy yourself, because your days are numbered. It's unfortunate that most of our women, even apart from illiterate women, even literate women, they stay till that long. So that will not take us to what causes this cervical cancer.
That's what I asked earlier, that how does it?
Now, actually, some cancers, we will tell you that some cancers, we don't know their causes. We have only risk factors, meaning in the presence of these factors, well, the cancer is more likely to develop. But the good thing about cervical cancer is that we know the cause. Majority of the cases, if not all cases, are caused by a virus, which most cancers cannot boast of. You see how painful it is? When you know the virus and you know how to prevent the virus, cervical cancer will not come up. So why are our women still dying? So the cause is the HPV, the human papilloma virus. That is what causes cervical cancer. And one thing about this cervical cancer also is that the HPV is that it is transmitted sexually. So you will hardly find cervical cancers among women who are not sexually active. You know, they did something one time and they found that among nuns, the incidence is very, very low because they are not sexually active. So HPV, human papillomavirus, is transmitted sexually. But does that mean that every woman that has sex will have cervical cancer? There are other other risk factors that will predispose a woman more to be infected with the human papilloma virus. Because this is a virus that one can be infected with and then the infection will go. But years to come, the underlying damage that has been done cannot translate into cancer of the cervix. So those risk factors, what will predispose a woman to having more access or more likelihood of contracting the HPV are the ones I want to list out now. Number one is that the woman must have had an early sexual debut. That means that she started having sex early at a much younger age. But the thing is not far-fetched. The more you are exposed to sex, the longer you are exposed to sex, the more probably you are giving HPV through sexual contact. So if the woman starts having sex at 30, for example, I'm just saying it, she will be at lower risk compared to the lady that had started having sex at 13 or 14. So that is why the early sexual debut is a very important risk factor. Another factor, which is also not far-fetched, looking at the etiology, that is the cause of the cancer, is women that have multiple sexual partners. Of course, that will mean that the frequency of having sex is more than the one that has just one partner. And understand that those frequent multiple sexual partners may not be on the part of the woman alone. If her spouse, her partner, has multiple partners, she is at risk. You get it now? So it may not be because of her own primary activities. It could also be linked to her partner's sexual activities. Then there are other factors like reduced immunity. That is why women that have that are positive for HIV/AIDS, they are also more prone to have cervical cancer. Also smoking. It may not be a rampant thing in our society, but it's getting to, because the younger ladies are smoking now. So in climes where women really smoke, smoking has been associated, is the risk factor for cervical cancer. You will now ask that what is the connection between smoking and HPV? The connection is that the nicotine, the content inside that smoking, inside the cigarette, it predisposes the woman to reduced immunity. Reduced what? Immunity. So that now makes the likelihood of the body defense system being low, and then the HPV, infection coming more.
All right, now you have mentioned the causes, you've mentioned the virus responsible, and now how does it develop in the body? When the virus enters into the body, how does it develop, and how, what are the stages that it goes through?
Well, the virus, of course, the needles of infection, that is the place where it infects the human body, is the cervix, as I've explained, which is the neck of the womb. So while there, of course, it will first of all infect the immediate cervix area. That is the early stage. You understand? In fact, we have a precancerous stage. We have stage 1, we have stage 2, we have stage 3, we have stage 4. Those stages are in order of the severity of the infection. And it has to do with the organs that it affects. So the precancerous stage is that, we found some cells that the activity of these cells, they are more likely to transform into cancerous cells. You see, that is why what we are going to talk about will make sense, which is the awareness and screening. So for a woman, which we've had quite a lot, that is caught at the stage of precancerous stage, we do what is called colposcopy. We want colposcopy. Yeah. We'll talk about all of that when we get to diagnosis and all of that. So that one can be done for the woman at that stage. In fact, some women will even tell you, particularly those who have completed their family size, that, I've had the number of children I want to have. Now you are saying that something is likely to cause problem in the future because I've subjected myself to screening. So please, remove everything. I don't even want it to develop to stage 1. So that precancerous stage is stage 0. So stage 1, it now affects the cervix. And of course, as the stages are going on, it starts affecting other organs around the cervix until it gets to a stage where it enters into the bladder, it enters into surrounding. In fact, there's uropathy. The woman cannot urinate, by herself because it has matted the organs around there together. That is the stage that we start seeing where we know the inevitable. Please prepare for the,
Okay. Now, what are the common cervical cancer that we have, and then what are the survival rates?
Like we said earlier, survival rates depends on the stage at presentation. A woman that presents in the early stage, and she will not know because at the early stage, we'll talk about the symptoms, so at the early stage, there are hardly any symptoms. So the woman will not even know. But if she presents at that stage, it's more likely that whatever measures, therapeutic measures that will be meted out, will be up to 90%, if not 99% success rate at early presentation. But at late presentation, is almost it will take a miracle.
Okay, now let's talk about the symptoms now, because you already mentioned it. Now let's talk about the early signs and symptoms of cervical.
Okay, now for a woman that has cervical cancer, at the initial stage, that stage where it is very important you start treating it so that it can be a thing of the past. most of the time there are no symptoms. She will just be incubating it inside her. She wouldn't know, except she goes for screening, routine screening. That is why we have the cervical cancer awareness month, where searchlight is beamed on women. Please come out. Mobilization is done. You know, cervical cancer screening is done all year round, 24/7, depending on the facility. Not just for the awareness month, though. Yes, the facilities are on the ready to do those screening. But that particular month is that everybody should hear, in case you've never heard before. And then the thing that would have costed money, governments come together, NGOs like M1, you know, we try to collaborate with the state governor's wife and other bodies to make it free for people so that it can be caught early. So back to symptoms, at the early stage there are no symptoms. But later on, as the disease progresses, you start having irregular bleeding. For example, a woman, okay, let's talk about the age now. Age of cervical cancer, majorly we talk about between 30 and 65 years. But even as low as 25 years, they can have the infection. So for that age range, by the time we talk about bleeding, for most of the women who are older, they'll find that for women who have even stopped bleeding, they have entered into menopause, they start having what we call breakthrough bleeding. For women who have not entered into menopause, they will start having, bleeding within periods. You've had your period normally, and you are not expecting the period again, but all of a sudden, it starts coming. So that is a woman that we want to go and screen. Let me go and check. Intermenstrual bleeding. You understand? You know, there's a circle, there's a break, there's another circle. But now, that break, there's bleeding. So that is a first pointer. Then another one is contact bleeding. In fact, that is coitus, like anything contacting them, because that area now is already being primed. So if there is anything, like even normal sex, she will be bleeding, and it is not her menses. So such a woman needs to go and check. Another symptom that a woman could have for cervical cancer at the later stage is foul-smelling vaginal discharge. That discharge is not here. If the patient that has cervical cancer is in this room, you can't enter here. If there's one on the ward, everybody will know. In fact, the woman herself will tell you that she's smelling. Foul-smelling vaginal discharge. It's unfortunate when we talk about things like, because the very organ that brings life to the world cannot become a problem for the woman at the lower abdomen.
Okay, now let's talk about the differences between a PAC test and an HPV test.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we answer that question, let me tell you the different tests that you have. Options, yes. So that's the commonest one we do. So we have options. You can do the pap smear, like you said, but we can do the HPV DNA test.
Which one is the PAP? I wanted to ask that.
Okay, then let me hit the nail on the head on that. Then you can do the VIA. That is the visual inspection under acetic acid.
The PAP?
The pap smear is the one. No, this is the pap. Every woman knows it's not pap. It's a papinocular something smear. You know, you take the smear from the cervical or the cervix of the woman, and then you smear it, and you want to read the cell pattern. It's not OGO at all. All right, so the gradation, at least the severity, so that you know what we normally do for mass screening is that we do the VIA. That one is non-specific. It will just give us an idea that it is a suspicious service. That one is good for mass screening. One, it is cheap. Frontline health workers can be trained to do it. Once they are not saying the woman has cancer yet, we are just saying that this service is looking suspicious. Let us do further tests. So the pap smear you're talking about is more of a specificity test. So you will not, because of the cost and then accessibility, it's not everywhere that it can be done. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it has to be in a specific laboratory and by trained personnel, and then the what do you call it now? the materials you are going to use. But for the VIA, you can come to your village now and set up, and we start doing it. Those are the ones that are done especially during the cervical cancer awareness month. So the health worker has the opportunity of checking the service, applying the acetic acid, and checking if there's any form of color change. Are you getting it now? So that is VIA. Some people can also use the Lugos iodine. So once you do that visual inspection under acetic acid, you know this is a suspicious. Like I said, you are not saying this is cancer or this is not cancer. You can say suspicious, non-suspicious. So when you have it.
Oh, okay. Now, let's talk about prevention now, because you know they say prevention is better than cure. So we know about HPV vaccine. So how effective is it in preventing cervical?
Okay, so let's talk about prevention. Then we will now coin down on HPV vaccine. So in prevention, there are actually modalities. Number one is vaccination, which is the HPV. Number two has to do with the screening. You know, screening is a form of prevention. Ethically, we don't even screen for diseases as it were that there is no treatment for. So that you will not go and screen somebody and say you have this. What do I do now? I say I don't know. You know, it's not ethically correct. So for the HPV vaccination, it is now being advised, and I'm happy that the government of Ogun State rolled it out sometime last year, that girls who are supposed to be that have not had sex or have not been exposed to sex, the service has not been exposed to sexual contact. Those are girls between the ages of 9 and 14 years of age. They are being given HPV vaccine, which is a good one on the side of the government, because if you are going to do that privately, it's expensive.
I think they want to resume it.
Yes, yes.
Because I can see some circular flying around, even from my children's school, they forwarded it to the department.
Yeah. It will even surprise you to know that because of vaccine hesitancy, some parents did not allow their daughters to be vaccinated.
But no.
Because those children 9 to 14 during the campaign, yes, during the campaign, and it's a good thing you are doing something like this, you know, and things like this should also be done in the local languages. You understand? So that the people at the grassroots, they will understand that it's prevention. The same way you give the children Ajesara when they are born, that when the girl child is now attains the ages of 9 before 15, she can be vaccinated. We give 2 doses at that stage. But if the girl has been exposed to sex and is still is a teenager, instead of 2 doses, we will give 3 doses, because she has been exposed.
Because of our time, because we just have to wrap up now, let's talk about how we can reduce the risk of cervical cancer in
the society. Very good. Thank you so much for that, because the reduction of the risk of cervical cancer is all encompassing. Everybody is involved. Number one, the people that are involved, the women, please come out for screening. You understand? So women, that is the message for women. Then for the women and the men, release the girls for vaccination. Let them be, you know, let the girls be brought out, let the vaccines be procured for them. Like for the men, they are members of the community. They are leaders in the community. They are leaders in religious homes. They should encourage the women to go for the screening. And they should encourage the girls to go. They should not say when these girls are going to marry in the future, she will not have children.
Is there any side effects of the vaccine, so that maybe the parents will be on the lookout in case the children were vaccinated?
Well, for now, the vaccine is safe, as it were. Apart from usual maybe urticaria, redness at the site of injection, pain, normal. Even if I touch it like this, yes, temperature, even if it is, we will normally, attend to that as maybe event following immunization.
Okay, I wish that we have more time, because in fact, I don't know that we have even spent 30-something minutes. So I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for coming to the show. Dr. Mrs. Imonope Gloria Bosede, we really appreciate you. And I've been speaking with the President-elect, Medical Women Association of Nigeria, Ogun State Chapter. All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, you've heard it all, and please, you have heard that prevention is better than cure. There is this saying that when you educate a woman, you educate a nation, and that is why we are educating the women. That please go for cervical screening and also tell women around you. Thank you for watching today's episode. Doyinsola Ogunbadewa is my name. See you on next episode.